One of the reasons why we started Edison Motors is we got tired of seeing the way that electric vehicles are going. They don't make sense. They're putting into applications that don't make sense. 1-ton trucks, service trucks, welding trucks, truck that go do work. That makes sense. That'd be hybrid electric. The extra benefits like running welders, being able to charge electric vehicles for a tow truck. But the other thing I really want to achieve with this is I don't like the way that planned obsolescence is going in the EV space. You see EV being used as a way to say, well, you can't work on this vehicle, it's electric, and we don't certify anybody to work on electric trucks. You can only take it back to the OEM dealership. We're the only ones that could possibly work at it. And it's going, you can see, as that industry goes, they're gonna be trying to screw over a lot of the smaller shops. I do not want that to happen. I wanna get these smaller shops trained up on how to work on this stuff. So as we transition, as more things go electric, people know how to work on this that aren't just the dealership. We gotta make sure that the small town, mom and pop shops don't go out of business, that people know how to grow a business, how to work on these things, if we want any chance of not having a company that's only owned by mega corporations. We're at Ritchie Brothers, and think about how many thousands and thousands of potential retrofit vehicles are here. Some people were saying, well, I don't have an old truck. Where do I find an old truck with a blown motor? This is the place for you. There is literally thousands of vehicles at Ritchie Brothers or auctions that have blown motors, drop transmissions. They're in that inoperable category, and they sell for really, really cheap. Those are the trucks. You get them, stick a generator in, put some e-axles in, you got a perfectly good running, driving truck again from something that was basically destined for a scrap parts vehicle. While we're here, we're taking advantage of it, and we're looking for a good deal ourselves. That was actually pretty nice. I kind of like the old OBS.
526, which one do you want?
952.
Takes the middle one. Takes 952 is gone. 952 want 952.
Got a truck, Billy? Wow, this is sick. Bought myself a big truck for a little man.
So what does it look like to be an installer? There's an option on the website where people can go sign up to be a certified Edison Motors installer. And basically it means exactly what it sounds like. So once we build the first kit, we trial it out, it works, we're comfortable with the kit, we're gonna reach out to the installers that sign up, we're gonna bring them to our shop, they're gonna essentially purchase their own kit, we're gonna train them using their own kit they got on their own truck, show them how to install everything, service everything, go through an extensive training process, watch them do it, make sure we feel comfortable with them installing it, and then they'll be free to sell these kits, install these kits, service a customer in their area. And then of course, you're gonna have a shop with the adequate equipment to work on electric vehicles. Now that's not much. It's a little bit of additional safety equipment, some high voltage equipment for testing. Really, that's it. We're not asking a ton other than you be competent, you be certified. The first few trucks you build, we're gonna come to those trucks, we're gonna inspect them. That goes through the secure certification process before we sign you off and say you're good to go on your own. A lot of the questions we get asked, aren't you overextending yourself by doing semi-trucks and pickup truck kits? And I don't think we are. We've looked at what our capabilities are, and essentially we were debating doing 5 semi-trucks. And we said, well, hold on, what if we did 4 semi-trucks, but did a pickup truck the same way? We can essentially use the same inverters, the same batteries, and we'll do a pickup truck or 2 in place of doing the semi-truck. We're not taking on additional things, we're just swapping out one semi. What's the marginal benefit of having an additional semi, that 5th semi truck or the pickup truck kit? And there's a lot of benefits to the pickup truck kit for Edison Motors. Well, it comes to economies of scale. So if we just do a few semi trucks, we can only order so many batteries, so many inverters. If we can order more, we know we get our price way lower. We've seen the 10 unit quantity and we've seen the 100 unit quantity, and it's almost half the price once you go to the bigger quantity. Like, it really is some massive returns on investment once you go in economies of scale. So how do we achieve that? I think the pickup truck kit is a great way. Because we use the same parts that's in the semi, we can then all of a sudden, if we're building five semi trucks, but we're building 50 pickup kits, bam, now we're in that 100 unit. We're cutting almost half the price off of our order numbers. I think long run, that makes a great case for us in terms of overall stability. While we scale up to go into production of building hundreds of trucks, we need to have a way to service these trucks, which means we need service centers. It's one of the questions of, are you just gonna only sell trucks in your town? Or are you gonna have to build a dealership in every single place you sell a semi truck? And obviously that would take billions of dollars to set up our own dealership network the way Tesla has, where they don't have dealerships. By going the certified installer route, we can get these kits out, get the installers comfortable on working on pickup trucks, installing kits on pickup trucks, so that when the semi-truck production goes into production, we have trucks leaving the factory. We already have locations that are used to working on the Edison electric truck parts. We feel confident that they know how to work on the EVs. We can send our semi-truck customers to them. And that also relieves their worry of, oh, how am I going to service this thing? Where's it getting serviced? Perfect. We have a service center in your area. They're already trained. They're great. So it helps us grow long run. Keybray Industries was here, was one of the first ones to actually sign up for that kit. They were number 2. So we thought we'd come over here to Alberta, pay them a visit, and kind of see what that installer package looks like. All right, I'm here at Keybray with Wes, and we're kind of going to go through the shop, see what they do, and maybe talk a little bit about the install kit here. Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. We're glad to have you guys here.
So you guys do actually a fair bit. I've seen on your sign out there, trucking and mechanical services.
Yeah, we recently purchased a mechanic shop here in Drayton. So we run 2 facilities. This is our north shop. It's about 18,000 square feet. And we have another one that's just on the south side of town. It's about, 10 to 12,000 square feet. Between the trucking and the mechanic side, we have about 50 to 60 employees right now. So
that's a good size. That's a good size.
Yeah, we grew a lot over the last few years. So we're just trying to expand into new markets and see where we go from here. So
Right on, right on. Well, why don't we go have a look?
sounds good.
Yeah.
So we can put one in there.
There we go, actually, yeah. Well, when you were asking earlier about the size of like the C9 compared to a X15,
Yeah, that's it.
you're probably about here and about there. That's about the size you're looking at.
Okay. And then when you put the generator on the back end, how does that work?
Generator bolts right up, so come with either, normally it's an SAE1 housing, same bell housing you'd have on this flywheel housing. You just bolt it up. You got an adapter plate that goes on there. It's about yay big, so it's about that long behind it, same size. Weighs roughly about the same weight as an automatic transmission. Basically, you're doing the same thing you're doing here. Take the engine out, drop the C9 in, take the transmission out, put the generator on, rehook up your exhaust, rehook up your air intakes, put the rad in here. Now we go with Masabi with a dual core rad.
Yeah.
And that's got the EV one in the front, engine coolant on the back. You drop that rad in place, you come in, you put the hood back on.
Done deal.
Really, that is a done deal. You just, then you got to drop in the batteries, and batteries are just going to pack into your frame rails. A little bit harder to show when you got a sleeper, but essentially, yeah, take the deck plate off, take the sleeper, the batteries are going to go right in there. They'll go between the generator and basically on this kind of wheelbase, I think they would end right behind the sleeper. There'd be 80 inches of total room you need for the batteries, 80 to 100 inches.
Then a guy could probably eliminate one fuel tank if you
can.
wanted to, right?
You could, because you're going to be burning half the amount of fuel. You could drop one fuel tank or put on a fuel tank half the size, put an extra battery box over there. If you got something like this where really all the inverter and the power distribution unit would be able to fit in these jockey boxes, or if you didn't have it, say something like a day cab that's just a bed truck, you'd be able to put it where the other fuel tank was. So we're trying to have a couple different options for the semi-trucks where you can either just drop them in. The pickups, we want them to just be able to drop in behind the cab in the box, or if you wanted to install it and you got something in there, you didn't want to put it, or you didn't want to remove the bed or remove the bed space, you can put the batteries up under the box, but that's up to the installer. So it's up to you guys to get fancy with it. We're just, for the semi-trucks, you can put them in the frame rail. If there's a reason you can't do that, you could put them where a battery is.
So how big is the battery box going to be in the pickups?
So the battery box in the pickups is they're the same batteries, the same 40-inch wide batteries, 8 inches tall. There's just 2 of them. So 40 inches by 16 inches. And then the inverter's on top of that. So it's going to be roughly the size of a normal toolbox.
And then just build something solid around it, obviously.
Little steel cage in there. That's the whole idea, is that we can just have that built. We'll be able to put the batteries in, put the inverters in, do all the wiring up for that part of the power distribution unit. And then you just drop it in. Has 4 bolt holes. You just drill the holes, bolt it in. You got your wire leads coming out. You plug in, you run it to the axles, plug the axles in, turn it on, make it live. Obviously, you got to replace the throttle pedal, and there's a few other little things, but essentially we want it to be as drop and play as much as possible. it's probably about the same amount of work as putting this in and out. Like, it's not gonna be nothing, but it's also not gonna be as much as it was on the first time we did it.
And I think the more times a guy does it and gets some procedures in place, I think it'll all come together a little quicker.
From my point of view, hooking up this motor is way more complicated. This motor is infinitely more complicated to get right than ours. Really, the motor comes with all its wiring harness on here. Like, how many wires and Deutsch connectors and everything that you have in this wiring harness bundle? The batteries have 3 lines. The electric motors have 3. If they're labeled A, B, and C, put the A, the blue A, into the blue A. Put the green C into the green C, and put the orange B into the orange B spot. That's 3 wires. This is a massive amount where if anything gets wrong, it doesn't do its thing.
And that happens all the time.
Oh, I would imagine. I would imagine.
Yeah.
Whereas ours, it just has one 8-pin connector for the drives. That's just it. Something like that. That's your whole drive connector. That's 6-pin. But
Yeah.
It's surprisingly simple. Like, electric vehicles really, really are simple. The power comes from the generator, flows into the inverter. The inverter takes that AC power, puts it into DC in the batteries. When you step on the throttle, it comes out of it from DC, goes back into the inverter, changes it back to AC, sends it to the drives.
So it's similar to kind of like that Ford F-150 that kicks on and off, kind of like that, but just not. This is more efficient.
Ford F-150 that kicks on.
Yeah,
and off.
Ford has that one of the generators. We have one of those pickups, a hybrid.
Oh,
So it's like
okay.
kicks on once. Sometimes he'll clinch drives it. So some days he'll bring it in the yard. You can't even hear it running. Then
Yeah.
it kicks on.
Yeah.
It's just not very efficient. The battery has no power at all. So the engine runs 99% of the time.
And it still, I think, has a drive line with an electric motor assist, doesn't it?
Yeah. It does, yeah.
No, this got rid of that whole thing. That was one of the things. You don't want the drive line with electric motor. Just, if you're going to do it, just do it. Just make it electric, put in a decent sized battery, and then the generator just runs as a generator. Just fires up, it recharges, and then it shuts off.
So what kind of diffs are you going to use in the pickups?
Diffs in the pickups, so we're just going to go with a standard 1-ton rear end, kind of like a Dana 70. We haven't picked the exact axle yet. We'll pick one, we'll adapt the motor, the electric motor to work, and then as we go on, we'll be able to add on more options. People are wondering, like, what about half tons? What about 550s? Okay, well, we'll do that, but let us just pick one axle for now. We'll send that one axle. We'll pick what's most commonly out there and go with that.
No, and I mean, if you're looking at something to set up in Alberta, I mean, we could get you guys a bay there where you guys could kind of set up a little bit, and if you have somebody that's going to come and do training, we can figure out a way to put guys up or get rooms. And
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah,
So-
if we're gonna send someone out for training, this would be a perfect spot. And like, I was thinking with doing a service truck, we're doing a service truck down the road. It might just be a perfect fit for some of that
Yeah.
training right on a service rig.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah. Because we're still exploring this relationship, we'd be open to give you that space for free to.
Oh
do it,
wow,
so.
that's wicked nice.
Yeah.
So
No.
the first one, go some training and show everybody how to work on it. And that's the other thing, is that getting things trained. Part of this installer thing is that I can see the way the industry's going. You look at a lot of the other OEMs, they don't want anybody working on their electric trucks. You go in there and nobody's trained to work on electric, and they say electric is scary. And I've been saying it's no different than working in a sawmill or a plant like that. It's a sawmill's got live power, 3-phase power. They have lockout tagout procedures. You disconnect the power, you then lock it out, you tag it out so nobody can reconnect it, and then you verify that the power's gone. Once you've done that test, it's a standard industrial operating procedure. It's not magic. It's not, you can train mechanics how to do that. There's no reason for all of these OEMs to say, no, nobody is allowed to service any of our electric vehicles, other than they're trying to kind of squash the small shops. It's my only theory anyways.
And we'd definitely be willing to ship some of our guys out to your shop, and definitely want to invest in the future. So.
Yeah.
And we know this is about the best it's going to get for going fully electric. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not until battery technology improves, I think.
And even if battery technology improves, the grid's never going to be there. Like, you just look at the power demand. I know the statistics for logging trucks, so I go with that.
Yeah.
But there's 5,000 logging trucks in BC. Each logging truck uses about 2.5 to 3 megawatts of power per day. So even take the small number, 2.5 times 5,000 is 12.5 gigawatts of power. Site C dam that they've been building up north of Fort St. John, it's been under construction for like 15 years for $30 billion, is only 1.1 gigawatt. Logging trucks need 12.5, and that Site C dam, it would have to flood an amount of land between here to Lethbridge. That's a total of area of land that would have to be flooded if you scaled it up to that size just to meet the power demand from logging trucks. Imagine a giant lake from here to Lethbridge just to power logging trucks. Like even if battery density got there, you're gonna still need power. And then they say, what about hydrogen? Hydrogen isn't a fuel source. Hydrogen's a battery. You need to take electrical power. You take the electrical power, you make the hydrogen, and then you feed the hydrogen into the truck. But you still need electrical power to make the hydrogen. Like you can't just make hydrogen. There's no hydrogen wells. You can't put a drilling rig up there, drill down into the ground, start pulling hydrogen out. You need to create hydrogen, and you need electrical power. So hydrogen is just a battery. Hydrogen is just a slightly denser battery.
Yeah.
But you would still need the power, and that's not solving the power grid infrastructure. Like without doing a hybrid system with natural gas or diesel, or like a list with this, you could do natural gas, you could do diesel, you could do propane, you could do gasoline, whatever gives you the best emissions profile that you want, or whatever makes you achieve what you want. It doesn't matter. It's just turning a generator. It's not trying to build torque. It's not the low torque of propane doesn't matter because it's just spinning a generator. And propane's like 10 cents a liter, 20 cents a liter. If you wanted to run your semi truck for 20 cents a liter, off propane, go for it. It can now be a propane semi, which would actually be interesting. I wonder what the fuel savings would actually be as a generator at. I never really thought about it before, but since Weyerhaeuser was saying it, I'm like, okay, yeah, they got government incentives, but yeah, propane is so cheap that a propane generator actually might make sense. You've already reduced the fuel by 50%. Now you've reduced the cost of the fuel by like 50, 60%. That's like an 80% fuel savings. Huh.
Where it goes, right?
I do think natural gas would make sense. I mean, with how much natural gas is out there, the biggest issue is natural gas doesn't provide immediate power. It doesn't. But as a generator, we don't need that immediate high torque on-demand power. So natural gas runs fine as a generator. Look at every compressor station on the pipeline. They're all natural gas. How many generators are running out natural gas? Because generators work great. So you got somebody like you got a customer that's hauling natural gas. Oil and gas companies pushing them to use the product they're hauling. Well, now let's throw a natural gas generator in there. We'll put the batteries in. Now you got a natural gas truck that's actually working better than the diesel equivalent. Instead of downgrading, you're upgrading.
With almost zero emissions.
Okay, so how do you kind of see this kit working integrated into your operation here?
Well, we'd like to use it in different applications. We'd like to use it on some of our equipment first, just to see how it works, and then work with you guys to work out all the kinks that you might have with the system.
Nice.
And then once we get that figured out, and then we'd love to start putting it in other people's equipment.
Perfect. Can't get a better installer than that. This is great. Well, hey, thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Honestly, meeting the first installer here, meeting Keebre went fantastic. These guys are going to be a great partner for us, getting these kits out there. They're willing to put the kits into their own trucks. They want to put kits into customers' trucks. I can't think of a better strategy than this. I really think we're on to here. I'm excited. This is the first installer we met, and I could not be happier. To be honest, it's not like this is a video we prepped. I've never been here. Like, we've never actually met before. These guys signed up to be an installer, and we're like, hey, like, people are like, how's that gonna go? Like, you're just asking people to sign up on good faith, and this is what happens. It was a good faith sign up. We're giving people the options, and look at what these guys do. It's incredible.
We stand on guard for
Go. All right, so we just finished an amazing week in Alberta. We sold a service truck. We met with our installers.
The installers took us to their box to the Oilers game here in the Sportsnet Lounge. I've lost my voice cheering for the Oilers tonight, but it has been a fantastic week. The only thing left to do is we're going to take them out to the bar, have a good evening. I can't get over how well this week in Alberta and Edmonton went. Absolutely fantastic. I've lost my voice.